Welcome to the Dental School Guide podcast, your ultimate destination for all things dentistry. I'm Dr. Tanner Townsend, your guide through the complex world of dental education. Join us as we uncover the secrets of acing dental school admissions, navigating residency programs, and exploring career opportunities. Please share and enjoy. Real quick, just wanted to make all you pre-dental students out there aware of a resource. If you've ever been worried about getting into dental school or are wanting to get into that school of your dreams, then you definitely want to check out a program called Dental School Guide. In the program, we walk you through how to save money, time, and heartache when applying to dental school. There's so much fluff out there when it comes to resources for getting into school, and we are streamlining all of that. With our comprehensive digital course, expert mentorship, and personalized application review services, you'll have everything you need to stand out to admission committees. Take advantage of this amazing resource that will help you increase your chances of getting into dental school. You'll want to check out dentalschoolguide.com. Check it out. All right, welcome back to the Dental School Guide podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Tanner Townsend, and I'm here today with one of our pre-dental students, Adnan. Thank you so much for joining us, Adnan.
Thank you so much for having me. It's truly a pleasure here. So just a bit of background about myself. I'm a pre-dental student going into my fourth year of undergrad, Bachelor of Science at the University of Ottawa in Canada, Ontario. And as you may know, there's a lot of pre-dental, most frequently asked pre-dental questions from myself, my colleagues, my classmates, and a lot of this from the pre-dental community. And I'd like, hopefully Dr. Townsend could do he's gonna do an amazing job answering them, and which will benefit everyone.
Well, awesome. Well, thank you for that intro. And yeah, this is our goal. This is a new segment and kind of show style we're starting out here, where we are diving into for about 10 to 15 minutes on answering some pre-dental questions. So, Adnan, I'm excited to hear your questions along with your colleagues' questions that you have in the next couple minutes. So, fire away, my friend.
Sounds good. So, since I'm from Canada and most of my friends are from Canada, we are very limited to the amount of dental schools we're able to apply to in our home country. I believe there's just a handful, around 7 or 8 schools in Canada, with a lot of them having regional preference based on your status of the residency. So, one of the main questions that I commonly get, including myself, is: are we able to, and how easy is it to pursue dentistry in the States? So, for instance, as a Canadian applicant, what are unique challenges or advantages that should we be aware of when applying to U.S. dental schools?
Yeah, so this is a great question. I think getting into dental school in Canada is probably just about as hard as it is for a Canadian student to get into dental school in the United States. It is extremely, extremely competitive for you guys up in Canada just because you're so limited in the number of seats that are available in each school and the limited number of dental schools up there.
Mm-hmm.
And so, one, I think in terms of best route to go, I think it's a great route to go to probably apply to both if you're a Canadian applicant, because your chances are about the same at each. I will say Canadians are probably the most favored international student amongst international students that come to the United States. Okay. And so the big thing is making sure that Canadian students apply to the right schools. We don't want to waste your time applying to schools that don't accept international applicants, and we want to look at the track record of accepting Canadians. So schools like Temple, for example, accept a ton of Canadians. NYU accepts a ton of Canadians, just to name a few. So what was the second part of that question? I don't feel like I fully answered that for you.
What are some advantages, essentially, that we as Canadian students may possess compared to, U.S. applicants?
Great question. So, some advantages you have are you get to take the Canadian DAT, which I think there's like one or two sections that are slightly different than
Right.
the American DAT. And not all American schools accept the Canadian DAT, but I think the scoring system kind of favors you guys a little bit as of right now. So I think that's one way that you have favored. I also think like your curriculum oftentimes is a little bit different than ours in terms of undergrad, which also favors you. And then I would say Canadians, whenever they know their schools are so limited, so every Canadian student that we've worked with has seemed to have an excellent resume because they know they're probably going to have to really bust their butt to get
Hmm.
into a Canadian dental school, or they're coming to the States. So they've done tons of shadowing, they have tons of
For
dental
sure.
experience. And so I think what American schools like about Canadian applicants is they really hustle. And
Hmm.
some of that is lacking from the American side because there's more opportunity, there's more schools to pick from.
Right. And just a follow-up question regarding you were mentioning about extracurriculars and the research part. So us as Canadians, because our schools, most 99% of schools look mostly on either the academics for your portfolio, whether that's your DAT score or your GPA. So a lot of students actually like pursue, like for instance, me myself and my friends, we have a lot of like shadowing hours, whether that's extracurriculars. So do you think that will be a like a favorable at American schools? You think?
Depends on the school. So if like you apply to a school, you have to know like what their track record is of what they're looking at. For example,
Mhm.
University of Washington, for example, they want to see that you are from the Pacific Northwest in the United States and that you have a high GPA and DAT score. That's all they care about.
Right.
They're not as concerned with the extracurriculars. Whereas another school like Midwestern Illinois cares a lot about the extracurriculars and they have different weights in each category. Okay. Every school is going to tell you that, like, oh, we have a holistic application. We try to be as holistic as possible, not giving too much weight to academics and more weight to shadowing. But I would say a lot of the state schools care a lot more about the the academic scores, and a lot more of the private schools care about more of that holistic approach
Hmm.
in general. And so the shadowing, the extracurriculars go further on those private schools. And oftentimes, those private schools for Canadian students are the ones you're going to want to target anyway, because they often take the international students.
Sounds good. That is amazing. Thank you so much for answering this question. So my second question here, essentially, is about career, like your decision for choosing dentistry. So one of my friends asked, what factors influenced your choice of your practicing type, whether that's private, in the private sector, group, or hospital-based dentistry?
So a lot of it has to do with just what your personality is, I would say. And I chose the private sector. I've always had the dream and desire to own my own dental practice and to be part of something a little bit bigger and to grow something. And so that was the route that I wanted to go. And so I knew that would pretty much only come in the private sector. Now, some of that is going to be changing in the near future, especially in the United States with the student loans. Okay, there was
Hmm.
recently a bill that was passed by Trump that kind of changed the borrowing limits
Right.
for things, and I know for you guys it's really expensive as well.
Hmm.
So maybe a community health opportunity is going to be really good if you're looking to have your loans forgiven, or if you know what, just want to punch in and punch out, you could do a corporate job or a military position, which has great benefits.
Hmm. For
So
sure.
I think it really depends on what your goals are. And if you have high goals and aspirations, I would say practice ownership is still the way to go. But it's going to be a little bit scary at times, especially as a young dentist, because it's expensive to get into.
Yeah, for sure, definitely. Even with the startup cost of opening up your own clinic and overhead costs, of course. So my third question here is about work-life balance. A lot of students, pre-dental students, and I had this issue as well before I actually was exposed to the field, before actually shadowing and working with dentists. How is the work-life balance and being as candid as possible compared to other professions such as medicine?
So this is a great question, and I've seen both sides of this coin. I have a father that's a physician. Okay, so
Hmm.
I've seen both sides of this coin, and I've gotten his perspective on this as well. If he could do it again, I asked him when I was looking into dentistry of what I should do, and he's like, I would not do medicine. And that's
Okay.
no knock on the people that choose medicine. Medicine's a great field, but medicine, you have a lot more duties oftentimes. Hours are longer. You will work Fridays. I can almost guarantee it. There's very few opportunities out there that let you be less than full time 5 days a week in medicine. and oftentimes you have to take your own call.
Mhm.
With dentistry, the work-life balance is fantastic. I just finished my work week this week. It's a Thursday today, and so I'm done for the week. I worked 32 hours. If you're a practice owner, you're definitely putting in over that, but you're maybe not doing clinical work that whole time. You're doing more administrative tasks or other things outside of those hours. But
Right.
honestly, the work-life balance is great. You take your own call as well, but it's really nothing compared to medicine. And I've seen that side of the coin, and it's medicine is a lot harder on you over the long haul than dentistry is in terms of hours worked.
Right. I agree. Um, just a follow-up question before I go to my last question. Regarding um, sorry, I'll just ask the last question. I forgot what I was gonna say. Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good.
So yeah, I might go back to it if I remember it. So regarding like your advice to pre-dental students, a lot of students when they start their undergraduate studies, they might have the ambition of pursuing dentistry, or sometimes they're in an allied field where they're thinking about dentistry or a different field. So, what is your biggest advice that you would give to yourself if you were just about to apply to dental school?
Uh, that's a really good question. And so I would say look at your. If I were to do it again, this is what I would ask myself. Okay, I would say, what do you really want out of this? Like, why are you really pursuing dentistry? And I'd get real honest with myself. Is it for the money? Is it for like the glory of like, oh, I'm a figure in my local community, or is it status with my family or friends? Or is it because like, no, truly I love dentistry. I've seen it, I've worked in it, I really enjoy it, and I want to do it. And the reason I would get really candid with myself about this is because the cost of going to school is going up drastically. So what I do in my office, I primarily do implants and dentures, and it's high risk stuff. It's
Right.
very
Yeah.
high risk, and the reward is definitely there for it. But there's a lot of times where it's like, man, I'm scared. You know what I mean? This is tricky, scary stuff that I'm doing sometimes, and I look at my colleagues that, like going out of school. I had a hygienist friend that she was graduating hygiene and she was going to get paid $85 an hour coming out of school to do hygiene with a quarter of the debt and could punch in and punch out. And that's making as much as some associates, like a lot of associates. And so, is it $85 an hour everywhere for a hygienist? No, it's not. But if your whole goal is money, there's easier ways to make money. There's different avenues to take that even in dentistry that are very profitable. So if that's your motivation, I would maybe look somewhere else because the debt load, $500,000 in debt, this is something that you don't really think about as you're a pre-dental student. My student loan payment's $5,000 a month.
Hmm.
That's a lot. That's a very, very nice house.
That's really, yeah, that is true.
And I don't live in a very, very nice house right now. You know what I mean? I'm paying off my debt. And so that's something that you don't often think about as you're going through school or as you're getting into it. So if that's something that is a super big deal to you of, being wealthy, I would think twice about that and make sure you really love it before you do it
Right.
because it's going to be expensive on the back end.
That is an amazing point. To be honest with you, just adding on to the cost of dental school and just financing it. Our schools in Canada differ in terms of tuition. Like for instance, the most expensive school that I know of is the University of Saskatchewan, particularly for out of province residents. For instance, if you were a Saskatchewan resident, you would be paying 63K per year just out of just tuition. But for out of province students like myself, it would go up to like 89K, and it's going to
Yeah.
hit 90K plus this year. So that is definitely a factor to consider for sure.
Yeah, it's a huge factor because then you got to add living on top of the tuition because you're not going to be able
Mm,
to work necessarily in school. So, yeah, I think that to circle back around to your original question, I would say really make sure you love it. If you're not quite sure like you really love it, I would look into hygiene. Hygiene's a great field. Becoming a lab tech, excellent field with low initial startup. And I would look into some other adjunct services outside of the clinical side. And if you really love dentistry, it's a great profession. I love it. It's wonderful. But I think you do definitely need to consider the cost of it as well.
Right. Well, that is really amazing. And I just remembered what I was going to ask earlier. So,
Yeah.
you know how dentistry has both the clinical and the business side of it. Owning a dental clinic, of course, you have to look into both scopes. So, some schools, for instance, in Canada, Saskatchewan, does offer an MBA adjunct with a DDS degree. So, how would you say, like, how beneficial would you say, or how powerful is holding sorry, that degree with a DDS degree once, like as a dentist, in terms of helping you build up your own clinic?
Yeah, good question. So there are varying schools in the United States that do similar things with an MBA program or a master's degree on the side. I would say it's a money grab on the school's part, in my opinion. I think there can be some valuable things you learn. I would pass on that opportunity. I think the best way that you can learn the clinical or the business side during school is through courses, podcasts, and books. That would be
Hmm.
what I would focus on, and it's going to be much cheaper and it's going to be much more action packed. Some books that I would focus on if you're wanting to go down that route instead of doing the MBA would be the Practice Launchpad, um, Dental Practice Hero. I would read By the Numbers by Addison Killeen. I would take like Breakaways Practice Seminar class. That's an excellent one. Dental Startup Wizards, another course that's excellent that walks you through all step by step of what you would need to do. And then podcasts. There's tons of dental business podcasts out there now that I have learned things that I use in my practice now from when I was an undergrad listening to those.
Hmm.
And so that would be the route I would go. I would forego the MBA entirely.
Wonderful. That is really amazing to hear both sides of the story, from the money grab side and also how easy and feasible it is to just avoid going into two additional schooling years while you can simply just grab that information through books and just external resources.
Mhm. Okay.
Well, that's all the questions I've had. It was really a pleasure being on your podcast today. What is your final piece of advice you would give to any pre-dental student? A simple piece of advice.
Yeah. So, simple piece of advice I would give to a pre dental student I would just say make sure you love dentistry. Because if you love dentistry, it's going to take care of itself. And if you love dentistry and you love taking care of people, then this is a great career choice for you. Once again, I said this earlier. It is a great profession. I love being a dentist. It's a wonderful thing. Just make sure you love it first. And if you do, you'll enjoy your career and it'll be excellent.
Amazing. That is so wonderful to hear.
Okay. Well, Adnan, thank you so much for joining us on this new series that we're starting on the Dental School Guide podcast. It's been a pleasure. So thank you all very much for listening in, and we will catch you next time. That's all for today's episode of the Dental School Guide podcast. We hope you've gained valuable insights and inspiration to fuel your journey into dentistry. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast for more expert advice, inside tips, and engaging discussions. If you enjoyed today's episode, please leave us a review. It would mean the world to us. Until next time, keep smiling, keep striving, and remember, your dental dreams are closer than you think. Thanks for tuning in to the Dental School Guide podcast.